Yeah.
I have no idea if they're saying yes or no.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Let's see. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome. It is June. You can tell I'm outside. And I'm thinking. So other than the, is it raging? Yeah. Other than the raging rivers going on, we got some capacity. We might need to. Go ahead and get started. So, welcome to June. We pretty much have our standing agenda and our itinerary that's going to get us through the day. This is not going to be a long meeting, but we do have important things to cover today, so please be ready to contribute. We're going to first start off with Greg. We'll rendezvous back with Greg as he comes back in. What do we have next? Anyone from STARS here today? Presentation today. You want to talk a little bit about some? What's the last STARS project we got?
We're working on that CCTA and Medcash working group.
Okay, so give them a little explanation of what's going on there.
So they're trying to standardize the trailers that we have distributed across all of the SARS regions, all the medical cash trailers that are out there right now. They're trying to standardize those in a way that's usable, because there's a lot of stuff on them right now that doesn't really need to be there, probably about 2/3 of it. So we're gutting those and kind of trying to redevelop that entire concept. It's been a year and a half so far. What's going in the trailer? So we're moving at the speed of government, and then we're also doing the work with the response guides for the complex coordinated terrorist attack that's coming up. We've been in attendance to those meetings and working with them and the subject matter experts from all the different entities to try to make sure that what's there is accurate for both Illinois and Missouri, because there are some pretty huge differences in between the two.
What's the target date on the CCTA?
August next year.
We have August 11th this year, or August 7th and August 6th and August 7th will be
Drills here, yeah. The actual big exercises.
Yeah, but the big exercises
August.
where they want to do full scale will be 20 of them. August 20.
Because I was just asking, Mike, is there Illinois classic involvement with that, or is it like they typically do in stores?
I can tell you we've had over 1,500 people.
Yeah.
That started when we first started. It was like 30.
Yeah.
So I think there was 140 different organizations. So it has grown and it has dropped. I can tell you law enforcement has got really involved. So like your EMS and your hospitals, she's pushing out emails all the time. I know everybody's getting the invites. I can see the distribution list. You need to check them out and try to participate with at least one of the meetings, because I guarantee you something there will spark your interest very quickly.
and we're probably gonna. I think we're probably gonna have to put together maybe a subcommittee just to kind of look at where we kind of can fit in, because you're gonna have to pick your poison with that one.
You're going to be in it,
Yeah.
one way or another. Trust me, you're going to be in it.
We're going to have some folks that are not going to be, I just don't think are going to, Jersey's not probably going to be participate. You know what I'm saying? So there's some opportunity for some folks, but there's some kind of, I don't want to say it's not that it's built in standoffish, it's just not going to be built in around the exercise. It's going to make sense for you to kind of really participate with.
I get that it's over a year away, John. My point is, if we don't start reaching out and getting Illinois actively in the planning, it's just like any other full scale. If if you don't plan for the full scale, you don't plan as much as you should because you don't have extra crews on these back.
Exactly.
And some of the big issues that I have said for years, Eric, we've got a lot of plans.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, until you sit down at these types of regional things, you don't realize how far off everybody's plans are and what everybody else thinks everybody else is doing until you sit down and go, fuck, we're not doing that. And I mean, there's huge differences. So they're trying to fill those gaps and fill those gaps. And they've been able to fix. I mean, one of them they fixed right off the bat happened to be an Illinois issue with Scott Air Force Base.
Yeah.
One of our drills will be their elementary school, an active shooter. For years, the military has always been told that they cannot react to that active shooter on ground. We sat in 3 different drills where the security forces there said they couldn't do nothing but watch and put a perimeter around their fence. Then we actually did a drill the following day, and somebody had went back and talked to leadership at Scott that next day they were engaging the active shooter. So I mean, that's something that without them all sitting together and everybody sitting together, we'd still be in that same thing. And that issue truly happened several years back on 158, if any of you know that, that's Air Mobility, which is right outside their gate at, I don't want to say the location, but it's a Metrolink thing. But there was an actual shooting that their people witnessed and watched and didn't respond because they always felt that they couldn't. And within a couple of hours of sitting and meeting with the leadership from the wing and going through to DC and law and their lawyers, they were able to find out that they could engage in that type of situation. So, I mean, that's a plus for everybody. And it wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have been sitting at those meetings together. Yep.
So, a lot more to come on that. And we're going to talk about some portion of some things that we need to do as far as exercise is concerned, where we'll have more opportunity because we will have a full-scale exercise next year for us as a region, come heck or high water, and we got high water out there right now. So,
And just one other thing on STARS, there has been some changes. An individual that's leaving, Kai, that's leaving STARS and going somewhere else. So that's going to be a big hit to STARS.
She's a continuity guy.
She is a huge asset.
okay. Sorry to hear that. All right, so we'll take a slight back step. Enough on STARS, and Greg can give you opportunity to discuss any IDPH.
I apologize. That was a call actually from the UAC.
Oh, I know what things are going on. So,
and so so IDPH has been pretty well occupied the last few weeks with the flood response that's going on. IEMA did set up a state unified command at Winchester, Illinois, which is actually all of the flooding resources being funneled through that UAC. It's being manned 8 to 5, 7 days a week. Those hours could extend if we have more flooding, more issues coming up. Right now, the focus has been on at that general Illinois. The Illinois River is really bad because it drains less quickly because of the Mississippi, the backup from the Mississippi. So a lot of the last few days have been focused on Calhoun County, which is in our public health region, Jersey County, but there are issues further up the line. Quincy has had issues, Meridosha, Beardstown, and that's why they set up at Winchester there. So I know some of our health departments have issues. I know Randolph County has some flooding issues. I spoke in the EMS meeting about reduced response times because of closed roads, reminding hospitals to work with their EMS systems to make sure that they're kind of proactively looking at issues that have happened or could be happening, and kind of pull out your emergency response plans on that and kind of be able to assist the providers in your region in getting folks to you if roads are flooding. I'm sure right now, the last I heard was that should we get no more rain, this is still another 3 weeks to play out probably, but we've all seen the forecast. We all know that more rain is supposed to be coming, so there could be more issues happening. The other thing, there's a federal exercise, Crimson Contagion, novel influenza, feds and state playing. They're opening it up to local play as well. I think some time ago they sent out a survey to see who wanted to play along. I don't think any of our hospitals in the region signed up. I think they're going to send out a last survey that they'll want a pretty quick response if you change your mind. You don't have to play every day of the exercise. You can pick the days that you want to play, but they want to know that ahead of time because they want to make it worth your while, whether it's with injects or objectives that they want to set. They want to know that ahead of time. So I heard that was coming out in like the next week. So basically what I'm saying, if you didn't join, you still will have an opportunity. The other thing, the summit, and maybe you're going to cover this at the end of June, there's been a change in where things are going to be at. The Tuesday at the summit will stay the same. It will be at the Bone
This is
Center.
not a joint.
That's in the education classroom. Which is
Ma'am, down this way.
It'll be in the Bone Center like previously planned, but the Wednesday and Thursday of the summit will be at the Marriott. Apparently, ISU got some kind of multi-million-dollar grant to redo other parts of the Bone Center and where it was going. That's what held us out one time, but now they've got another grant, and from what I understand, it was use it or lose it and start it now, or so they had to come back in those 2 days. Had to go back to the Marriott, but it was at the Marriott once before, and it wasn't terrible there. So just so that everybody's aware of that, and I think that's pretty much all I have.
Yeah, that Crimson Contagion exercise probably be an opportunity for you to get in the IMATs and do some stuff, and maybe do again hospital. We're flirting with the idea, but we got some things on deck, so we're not sure if we're going to participate yet either.
What is the date for that Crimson Contagion again?
It's August.
Is it not October? No,
August.
October is the CRI.
That's the CRI. Sorry.
August 13th through the 16th.
Thank you.
August.
August 13th through 16th.
Thank you.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, this is Kanitha from IHA. I just want to attach to Greg's update. Don't forget also that the Crisis Standards of Care tabletop is pre to the IDPH conference on June 24th from 1 to 4 at the Marriott also. It's going to be the last phase of that catastrophic incident response planning.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone, Greg, anything else by chance? No? Okay. We talk stars. Health department. I didn't see Beth.
Beth is on vacation.
She's vacating. That's right. Who's standing in for Beth today? I'm going to point at Mila and Sam right now because you're my direct line of sight. She pointed to.
So as far as the region, we're getting ready for our October exercise, October 6th to the 10th. Both bi-state areas will stand up their health department pods. And it'll culminate on the 10th with regional pods. So we're exercising that 50-day plan. On the Illinois side, we're having ours in our jurisdiction, so it'll be at the St. Louis Downtown Airport in Cahokia. We had a planning meeting yesterday. Some of the county partners are also going to play, in addition to us standing up our pods. We don't have everything lined out in terms of everybody knowing what different objectives that they want to test yet, but we're getting there. We have another meeting on July 16th at 9 a.m. for those who didn't make it yesterday and still want to participate.
Nice.
So from health department's perspectives, obviously we'll be dispensing, we'll be doing prophylaxis, vaccination. We want to test some of the functional needs aspects of pod planning. So we are partnering with county partners who are functional needs providers. We'll look at our cold chain management. And then some of our volunteer management deliverables that we need to meet.
Is there? I guess I want to bring up this just because we just had it happen recently. You know, we had a telecon the other day just to talk about some of the issues regarding flooding that were going on. And, you know, first thing when I heard, oh, we need 400 doses of tetanus and all this type of stuff, first thing I thought about was SNS and does it have it? So I asked Carla. Carla says, no, we don't. That's not a normal stockpiled drug or, you know, vaccine. I mean, every year or every couple years, we go through flooding. We go through this thing, and this is the second time in the 4 years I've been here that tetanus or Hep A or something has come up to where we as a coalition didn't have like a cache. And if it's not in the SNS, we know we have flooding. We already know we're going to have volunteers that need those vaccines. Is it even feasible? And I'm just throwing this out there. Is it even feasible for us to try to manage or maintain something like that to a certain degree? Because I don't know how much tetanus costs as just a single dose, and how long is it stored.
IDPH, and anybody jump in. I'm not a clinician, but we deal with flooding every year, and IDPH does not push tetanus anymore.
So the CDC.
I know.
Looking at public.
I think a regular tetanus vaccine's around $30.
Okay.
$30. So, you know, you have levy working hard, you know, they want vaccine and your local health department wants to provide it because there they are working to helping them. But on the other hand, the CDC and IDPH are saying, if it isn't required, if it isn't recommended, then we're not going to pay for it. So that's kind of the struggle that goes back and forth.
That's where the rub is.
And Phil, when we did it in 2016, you know, it wasn't a large number like the 400 then, but we actually, and that was before eye care was as good as it is now. It's getting better as we speak. We actually went in and found a couple of those people had a tetanus shot within the last 3 or 4 years. They really did not need one. So, you know, I think that's the other side of it is there needs to be a little bit of research done on these people, get a list with their name and birth date, any names that they may have, and check. You know, a lot of those 400, I bet you were not really technically in need of a tetanus shot because they've had one within the last 10 years.
Okay.
So I don't think as a coalition you need to be looking at spending money for a cache of tetanus setting here for the possibility of another flood. That's just my personal opinion. I've been through 3 floods now. This is the 3rd flood, and I'm out in July, and I don't care.
I mean, we put in like formal requests every year, and they come back and say it's not recommended.
It's not recommended. Okay. I'm just trying to jumble it in my head, do the mental gymnastics for it. Okay. Anything else from health departments at all? No? Once, twice, thrice? Okay. Mike, Remer.
Remer's doing a lot of growing, a lot of training and education. We're in the process of getting some instructors that will help with regional training for disaster preparedness for EMS. We're working towards a training center within AEMT that will allow us to do some certifications for all hazard disaster response and the TECC that goes along with the rescue task force stuff. Then we're also have several people attending the alternate care site trainings over the next couple of days. So.
Okay, Remart is growing, but we need to, and I'm going to say this, but we need to grow it more. We have a core group of folks that are highly dedicated, highly motivated, but that core group it's the few. It's like the Marines, the few, the proud. We need more people so we can have some more logistic support, some administrative support, so the providers, all our paramedics and things like that, aren't doing all the extra work behind it as well. Because when these guys get together and train, it would be great to be able to focus on training and start to identify specified roles without having to be the logistics guy, the paperwork guy. Oh, I got to do all the fit test stuff. So even if you're not a clinician, you're not an EMT, you're not a nurse, not a doc, if you got folks out there who want to get involved in the community, Reamer is a great place to do it. And we don't need all clinicians to do that.
I feel like one thing I did mention is that we are having conversations with Madison County EMA currently that they may have a additional trailer that they're willing to let us use for alternate care site for deployment stuff. We would just have to stock it, and they would get it out the door for us. We still have to have some more conversations with them. But I've been talking with Eric a little bit about it, and some of our members that are on fire departments here in Madison County have been having conversations with EMA about it. So we may have a second supply trailer available for alternate care sites or for larger incidents. So
that's good. That's good. Danny's not here. Sue, you got anything? Oh, hold on. Greg's got something.
I was waiting for mental health.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring up that issue to the coalition. I thought Dana might have been here. When this flooding, which is prolonged, it is now even longer than the 93 flood actually lasted, mental health issues begin to come up. Residents in communities, first responders, all of that kind of stuff. They're getting exhausted, after all this time. So I just think as a coalition, I think we should put that out there that maybe we need to see if we have some mental health resources available that we can provide to, especially to local county health departments who are dealing, with those people who are in their counties working and stuff like that. Just something I think we should keep on the radar.
I agree, and I will say that, Jeff, for those in the health departments, as you kind of get that information tweaking back to you, always contact me. Definitely can contact Dana directly or Sue. But if that's a need out there, we have a great team of folks. Got some good training last year. I wish we got some training in this year, maybe next year. But they're ready to serve. So take advantage of it. I know we started. We had a huge list, and we pared it down. But that list being pared down is now folks that we know are there and available, and we have methods and means to contact them rapidly and see if they can come back out and provide, or come out to whatever your jurisdiction is and provide support that you may need. Ron?
My suggestion to you, because again, having been through it and sitting here right now with it, I think it'd be great if you, as the head of the coalition, send out an email to all of us in the coalition saying, hey, don't forget we have this mental health team available, for not only your staff, but for your residents, your, whatever the need may be. Because I know yesterday afternoon I was to the point of wanting to just take and beat the hell out of something. I was so frustrated. And I know our counterparts up in Calhoun, Jersey, Greene counties have got to be feeling really bad right now, and they could probably use a little bit of support.
We'll do. Great note. I'm sure at least taking that now, so we'll definitely get an email out. I don't know if we're probably going to add another tab on our page, just the Swill Hope page that talks about that mental health team more in depth. So okay. Sue, did you have anything by chance?
No, we had a drill, call-out drill with them about 2 months ago, and had good response from that. And I sent you the spreadsheet with all of the names on it. You were going to load it into your.
Yep, I have it. We've loaded it in.
Are you going to do another drill?
Whenever you want to do the next one, so I'll just do it through Everbridge. But yeah, I just keep that as the backup.
Okay, so we do it back quarterly. So maybe in July sometime.
Sure.
He just likes to be notified ahead of time to let him know that the drill's coming up, so he can tell everybody that,
sure. And I can actually get you access if you'd like. If you'd like to kind of put it into one system if you wanted, or if you think we still need to manage both. I don't know. But I can get you access into our Everbridge and just have it pared down to just that, and you can send out those notifications through that if you'd like.
Okay.
But we have no problem doing that as a backup. All right, old business. We got a lot of stuff. So project submissions, all that stuff has gone through. It has been a chore, I'll tell you that. I think we only have 1.5 think I talked about this last month. 1.5 projects that'll be adjusted that aren't going to get exactly what they wanted. Their Christmas list is one based on the project scope, which was not. George is looking like, is it mine? No, it's not yours, George. So I think yours is good to go. I think, don't quote me. Yours might be the half. I don't know. But one just based on the project scope. So if I haven't directly contacted you, it's not yours. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's been a lot of work. I'll tell you right now, this year, IDPH, they're doing more. They're trying to do more to get us further ahead of the power curve. We're behind the power curve now. But going forward, I think we will be ahead of the power curve. This year, at least from our last face-to-face meeting, IDPH said that I think they have 60 days to get the money out, which is good. If not, they're going to get fined, which is, again, good thing for us because that means we can begin spending money earlier. I'm also going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to talk with our administration. That probably will not flow down to your project request, but there are things that, like every year, like this past year, this is what I would get back when I would say, is it time? Can I spend money? And we don't have an executed agreement. We didn't have an executed agreement until almost February of this past year. So the risk is, well, that's not an approved budget, so you can't spend unapproved. You can't spend things that haven't been approved by the grantee. Oh, okay. So I have to wait. Now, there are things that come up during that year. The IAEM trip or the summit or something else, and I'm like, can I spend it? They said, well, only if you have high confidence that it will be approved. So things that have been approved year after year after year, I can say, okay, we have must pays. The Motorola bill comes in. That's something not going to get taken away, I'm sure of. But then there's some things that may be new on that grant that may not get approved. I think they will get approved. So I'm gonna have to take some leaps of faith in that, and I'm gonna talk with our administrators because they're some high dollar assets. But we're gonna try to be able to spend sooner rather than later. If we get within that 60 days, that means in your August-September timeframe, you're able to start executing. Some folks spend really rapidly. Sam spends really rapidly.
I want to make sure I spend it before you decide to take it away.
Exactly. So, and I appreciate when you do execute, you execute rapidly. But just make sure, like when we had the training, you have to be really diligent. I think we built some better tools to make it a little easier for you, but you have to be diligent in submitting those monthly reports. I will tell you, this year coming, they're going to be sticklers. BPC's already told me, if they don't submit, they're not getting reimbursed. If you don't submit, so starting 1 July, once your paperwork is all done, starting 1 July, have maybe that zero balance one ready to go, and as soon as it's 1 August, send it in. Okay? They want it by the 15th of each month, but I'm just ready. Just get it in there. Have it prepped, ready to go. We finally ironed out all of our issues between who gets it submitted, because first I submitted it, then they submitted it. Now it goes to that GMO office. We've talked about the org boxes you need to send it to. She gets it. Soon as Christina sends it to me, she says, do you approve? I look at it for 15 seconds. Oh, yep, approved. And I send it right back to her. I don't keep it in the inbox. I don't wait. I send it right back. When I was on a cruise ship, I got into Mexico and I approved from my phone. So I don't care. I will get it approved for you. Okay?
When will we find out whether our projects have been approved or not?
For this year's? Again.
For next year.
Yeah, if you have not been contacted, they have been approved.
And so what other paperwork do we have to do to execute?
So until you get because some of you, I think Christina's working directly with those folks that have or have not got their paperwork back. So, matter of fact, that's on this current grant, excuse me. That's still on BP2, BP1 supplemental. We're going to go through that same process again. You'll get that form, and once you've got your budget and your approved agreement, I can't remember the title of that, your letter of intent, the 3 pieces of paper, I can't remember. Once that's done, then you'll know you have an approved budget. But you'll have an approved budget through BJC. You won't have an approved budget through the state. That's the key thing, though. That's the key thing. That's just the sub-award piece being complete. Okay? We're going to move on to the bylaws. We talked about this 2 months ago. We talked about this in April and revisited it in May. made changes to the bylaws on an annual review as required by the grant and just our regular due diligence. These are the changes that were made. We fixed some minor typos. Project submission timeline. This is the biggest thing that has changed. In order to keep us ahead of the curve, okay, we kind of targeted March, April of the previous year or the following year, or excuse me, the previous year to the upcoming grant. So for the FY20 grant that starts 1 July 2019, we're saying you had to have all your projects submitted by March or April, and then we would approve it. That's way too late. Okay? So basically what we're doing is opening up project submission time at 1 July. 1 July, everyone will get an email through Member Plans that says 2020 project submissions are open. Okay? Submit your projects through and you'll have up to 31 December to submit projects. After 31 December, cut off. Okay? And that will be for the 1 year. Okay? That way, it gives us more than enough time to review them, consolidate them, give the executive committee an opportunity to prioritize. And luckily, we've always had pretty much enough money to do what the projects that were submitted. Okay? That may not always be the case. So even though we haven't had to fully cut anybody's project or say, no, you can't do that, I'm sorry, we want to be able to do what you want. But I think as budgets change over time, we may be in a position where we're going to have to say, sorry, we don't have enough funds to do it. And you're 28 and the list is cut at 27. So, and budget approval by the 15th. So submissions through December 31st and February 15th, we're basically approving the budget, and that gives me 4 months, a little less than 4 months, to make sure that all that information gets over into egrams, back to BJC, etc. So we're going to be moving all those timelines up. These are the only changes. Okay. We tried to do our online vote. Again, we had like maybe 9 people voted, I think. I don't even think 9 people. Maybe 8 people voted. So someone like to propose a motion to pass these as written. George, that's your hand raised. Is that a motion to pass bylaws as written?
Sure. I did. I voted too, dude.
She voted too. She did vote. She was a vote.
I'll second.
You second? The ayes? All the ayes? Anyone by exception? Any nay? Who's abstaining? Rick? Abstaining. Okay. Make sure that's noted. Thank you. This is done, dated this time, and that'll be out there, so you'll have some. Quick PPE update as far as our first receiver, our decon team stuff. These are the boots we decided to go with. Okay, actually got a super great deal on these, super duper great deal. 153 pair in all those sizes. So we'll be submitting those here probably next week, I believe. And we should probably get them in a couple weeks. Big key is this: is that we don't have a lot of space. So when they come in, we need you to come get them. We need you to come get them as soon as you can, so you can go ahead and integrate into what you have today. But 15-inch gauntlets on those, so they're pretty nice. I'm going to bring up, I'll let Lee carry this. We talked about FirstNet 2 months ago, back in April. But I'm going to let Lee kind of talk about the problem that we're facing and what we're trying to solve and what we want to do in the outgoing years. So, go ahead.
All right, so part of the reason that we've looked at this is looking at the flooding and what's going on right now. The idea is we would basically, under the coalition, issue out phones to all of the preparedness coordinators. That way we have a central phone number. If you leave, you quit, you get hit by a bus, whoever takes the phone over next has the same number. We don't have to try to update a dozen different registries. The advantage to going with the FirstNet is it does have things like call preemption, priority lines, where right now if you're on a regular provider and the trunks are full, your trunk is full. You don't get a phone line. You get all circuits are busy. Under FirstNet, you actually get a phone line. They have priority. It will kick off a regular user and put you into it. I've actually been working with the folks from FirstNet to verify our eligibility for the different tiers inside of it, and I've been assured that will not be a problem. They'll be able to get that secured.
Not to interrupt, Lee, but we're going through the same thing, and our application's been in queue for like a month. How long is it taking you? How long have you been in the application process for priority?
I just talked to him yesterday. Been less than a month total, and yeah, I've actually been all the way up to corporate chain. I can get pushy.
In the middle of next week. Yes, sir. Okay. So, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So who actually is going to have these?
First, I think we probably do it in kind of phases. We kind of talk about definitely hitting all the HPP coordinators. We want to make sure we hit the hospitals first to make sure they're taken care of. Then move out potentially to health department, points of contact, and then see where we go next. Our key EMS folks in the region that we have that we know are consistent and all those type of things. But that's kind of, we'd have to fully plan it out, but I think it would be something over the next 2-3 years to implement. Okay. We're not going to put it in this year's budget. It's not going in this year's budget. So we'd be looking at the 2020 budget going out, but those are some decisions we need to make now because, it affects everyone. It really affects everyone. So.
The other advantage to this is, like when we talk about the Starcom, we all have Starcom radios that are issued to us. With this, there is the ability to integrate with what they call Wave Communicator through the state that allows you to actually get on Starcom from your phone. It will function effectively as a radio, a little push-to-talk button. The phone you see pictured there is the one they're pushing for FirstNet for that. It actually has a radio-type push-to-talk button on the side. It's an Android smartphone, so you can get your email, all your apps, everything would be there. We'd all have the same initial address book that, of course, you can add to it, but all of those primary numbers would be programmed in for you. And with the FirstNet, you'll have, as it grows out, you'll have actually better coverage. I have FirstNet personally right now through my other agency, and I've not yet run into a spot I haven't had service, including up in the Greene and Jersey counties. So, and I usually had no service on Sprint there. So,
hey Lee.
Yes.
This is Kelly. Hey, you said you were up in Jersey County. Did you go up like into Fieldon?
Yeah, I was actually in Fieldon proper.
Okay, because I know there's a couple people that have the AT&T phones, and they've been up in Fieldon, and they said they weren't having trouble using them. They also said that supposedly they were going to put a new tower up that way. But I haven't seen anything on that yet.
Yeah, I was up there last weekend and was in Fieldon, and I had streaming YouTube going, so it worked for me.
Okay.
As far as the tower, I did talk to them about that. They are actually upgrading the tower in Jerseyville. It's this week or last week to the band 14, because that was one of the questions I had. Because Greene County being our furthest north, them in Calhoun, I wanted to make sure there was some kind of coverage.
And when I talked to them, they were pushing the XR14 phone, and not that they didn't talk about the intercapability with the radios.
Yeah, I asked about it because I messed with this from the state a year and a half, 2 years ago, and when they said, oh, this is what we're pushing ruggedized phones with the PTT because of the radio functionality, when I asked about that. Otherwise, yeah, they're pushing like the iPhone XR and the Samsung Galaxy. I will say, if you have a phone that's capable of dual SIM, you could technically have one phone that has two phone numbers, a personal number and a regular number. The phones will do that. So, that may be an option if you don't want to carry two phones. But that's something we'll address when we get to that bridge and it's not underwater.
Are they using AT&T towers then? Is that what I'm understanding you to say?
It is AT&T towers, but it's there's different bands of frequencies that are allocated out there. They have a dedicated band that they want to contract with the federal government for to provide for emergency responders. That actually opens up space on other towers. It's a convoluted way to look at it, but yeah, so far it's been, at least from my experience, it's been pretty good.
I suggest you come down to Randolph County.
Well, I'll leave that one to John.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Does the fact that it's the separate band, because we've been hearing about that, make reception better? Because
it will once it's fully rolled out. They're still upgrading all of the towers to band 14.
Okay. And we do. I mean, we have gone to it, and of course we have trucks that survive off of Wi-Fi and
but
just
this
data.
week alone, they're having cell problems.
We have
Had to do those.
The cows.
Right. But they are, by the federal contract that they won, they're not even truly supposed to be up in 100% until 2021.
Yeah.
So they're still building. But that is a big thing that we've talked to them about is Randolph County.
Right, because I know our county IT guy had looked at the FirstNet and did some research with them, and it was not going to be worth the money. Prairie to Rocher, which is where I came from right before this meeting, because that's our biggest concern right now, the flood, there was no cell service at all in that town.
Right. And unfortunately, there are going to be dead spaces because there's no realistic way they're going to be able to blanket everything. I can go down to Shawnee right now. I don't care what vendor I'm on. I'll have nothing.
It's a big stretch.
But they're getting better about it. And if you reach out to them, they do have, like Greg said, the cellular on wheels that they will roll in to fill those areas because that's under that contract. They're mandated. They have to do it to get. It's a multi-billion-dollar contract they got.
Yeah.
Good enough. Thank you.
Keep that in your craw. 1 July to 31 December, we're going to be talking about project requests, and I think this is one that we should give some room and consideration to.
And if I can, real quick, if I could have everybody's, if you have radios, I know we have a lot of folks that have radios that were issued by the coalition and that. If you have outdated stuff, can you email me and let me know? Because that's the other thing we're talking about is upgrading some of the radios that are no longer serviceable, they can't get parts. I'd like to know how many exist so that we can try to start planning for that because it's going to have to happen.
Radios die.
For the whole AT&T thing, though, they are offering first responders. So for Eastside, they fill out the application to see if we qualify to get the priority access. So all the good things that Lee said, but also they'll offer it to your employees if we meet the requirements.
Correct.
And so they get the discounted lines, and then you can put them in basically like a dashboard so they would get priority service so you can contact your employees during an emergency.
Yeah.
Is it my understanding?
That's correct. And it's $45 a month for unlimited everything, including wireless hotspot. So you can, take your tablet or your laptop to it if you don't have a hotspot available, if the internet's not working where you're at. It has some good selling points, and I went to it just recently within the last month and a half because of the fact they cut my phone bill in half. But you can only have one line on FirstNet, so you wouldn't have your whole family if you're trying to do a personal. It's just a responder, and you have to have valid credentials, like she said.
I'm also working with them so that we can use Dispense Assist at the airport for the regional exercise. Some different equipment in that. They gave me a bid on it. We're just waiting for the approvals to come through and some different security things. So, and then I want to use the county EMA as the backup in case that would fail.
Just keep in mind with Dispense Assist, you can do an offline version.
Yeah.
You're crazy, but okay. Great stuff. On to some new things. So, Coalition Skype. So, a lot of you probably got, if you're using your Coalition services, and Skype business is now rolling over into Microsoft Teams. Okay, so which is kind of crazy because the link that everybody's using right now is still a Skype for Business link. I thought it would just merge right over with Teams. So I tried to click on the link in Teams, and it took me to the web app, and I was like, oh no, this is going to crash in front of me. So luckily I still have Skype for Business, the app on my service, and now I'm using that. So but we're rolling over to Teams. So if you have your Surfaces, you probably want to get familiar with Teams. It's pretty much the same thing, but there's a lot of added functionality to it. Matter of fact, we're trying to integrate some of our good old folks. We got our folks at MedStar that use Microsoft Office 365, and Teams is a part of that, just like we're using it. And we can add internal and external contacts to it. So just be aware that this is changing. The links that we have for all of our meetings, I'm going to change them all. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to delete all those old events that are listed inside of figured out Member Planet. So when you go on the events pages and you see, coalition meeting on the 6th, on the 5th, all of those are going to change over. So I'm going to end up deleting all the meeting events, okay? And then you're going to have all new meeting events in there. So you'll have to probably re-download those and add. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make those to where it's just one number only. One number and one PIN code only, okay? I had them separated for several reasons why they had to be separated before, but I think what I'm going to do is to make it a little easier, the first Wednesday of the month, it'll just say a coalition meeting. It won't say face-to-face, or it won't say conference call or telecom, but it'll just say face-to-face. But that'll give you all the exact same number, the exact same PIN code. You don't have to worry about it, okay? So you can basically program that in your phone and be ready to click in at whenever it starts. So,
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
One thing that we ran into is on Teams, it gives you a toll-free number, and that toll-free number does not work.
You say on Teams.
When you set up a meeting, it gives us our St. Louis number, and then right underneath it gives you a toll-free number.
Oh yeah, because that's not established yet.
But it gives it there, so if
yeah,
someone
I have to
tries,
go in there and turn that off. That's a function on the administrative side that we have to turn off.
because the last
When you created the one for the
ITLS,
yeah.
we had several people try to use the 800.
Yeah, see, learning curve. Didn't even
Yeah.
know that would. I thought everything would have just smoothly transitioned.
But
But
yeah,
no.
okay, if that's something you can turn off. Then.
Yeah, I have to turn that off.
Hey Phil, I just clicked on the link that you sent with the new information for the teams. It downloaded the app right to my computer real quick, and it is looks a little different. And you were having some issues with people not having their mics. I can actually mute my mic myself on my end and unmute it when I want to. So.
And that's what everybody should be able to do.
That could be.
And part of it was my fault because when somebody's making some noise on the phone, I was like, I need to mute this person, mute it, and then it muted all. I was like, oh, there was an unmute button for all. There's a mute all, but not an unmute all. So as far as outreach and stuff, our coalition YouTube page is up. So if you click on one of them links that are in the agenda or on the slides, etc., this is where all of the coalition meetings are going to go. You'll see right here where's Gary at? Oh, you'll see right here, Coalition Surge Test Part 1 and Part 2. That's the good old folks at OSF. And who else did we have on the other end? Who else participated in the surge test? Leanne?
Garlandville and Sandy.
So you can listen to them go through chaos and turmoil for 4 hours, all on YouTube right now. So go there and subscribe. That's where all of our meetings will be repository at and everything. We even got the sub-award training sitting out there. This prohibits us from having to put it somewhere else and host it, and then we'll just keep them out there for perpetuity. Spring full scale exercise. So, as we've been trying to do, we made one good Hope Coalition try to have our 10-pack exercise go forward and had the rug pulled out from us at the last second for full scale exercise. I would like to target this spring for that exercise. Okay, and we're looking to put some contract support behind that. To carry that, to kind of carry it fully across the line and get everybody all the documentation we need back, etc. So we did go out to a contractor and got a bid on that, and we are including that in this budget this year. So spring, when I say spring, so I'm targeting. My brain is saying May, but maybe we'll go April for our region. ChemPack full scale exercise. Now, as a part of our grant 2020, from 2020 through 2024, we're going to be required to do a ChemPack exercise, full scale, physical. So this will meet that, and it will also meet whatever Joint Commission, HVAC, whatever requirement that you need. We want to get maximum participation in this exercise. So. And that's probably going to, that planning portion of it is probably going to start fairly soon. This is one of those things that I'm going to be going out on a leap of faith with the grant and saying, yes, they're going to approve this. We want to move forward with this and start. We want to try to start that as early as possible. Okay, so trying to look at starting in the planning. I'd love to start right in July, but it's probably going to be August or September, which will give us about 8 months to pull off full-scale exercise and engage all the ChemPAC facilities that we have, our EMS partners and the hospitals, and public health if they can find a way to fit into that mix. So this is an opportunity for us, and I think it'll be a great one. Coalition Surge Test, we're going to do that this fall instead of next spring. So we need folks to sign up for it. So the sign up link is in the agenda, in the email, and also in this slideshow. We need folks to participate. I have to say, I think every person that's participated has got something out of it. I got a whole 12-pack of Coke out of this last Diet Coke out of this last one, and I didn't even have to participate. All I had to do was click the slide button. Isn't that right? You want to give a little feedback on how things went at St. Anthony's?
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. It was really a learning process for us, and we have pretty much seems like we have new management overall, and it's been my mission to try to train the new management, and that was a really good training tool resource that we had, and we learned a lot, and I think we did pretty well overall. But I'd do it again. It was really valuable, and we appreciate it.
And I'll tell you this, it was, talk about team effort of what I got an opportunity to witness. Folks at St. Anthony's did a great job working together. Is it Anselma? Sister Anselma?
Yeah.
Sister Anselma did a phenomenal job leading her team there. She's the COO, right?
COO.
Yeah. She did a phenomenal job leading the team, and no one had a checklist. And I know people are like, well, this is what we can do. They were thinking, but they really took the time to think first order effects, second, third order effects, and how that really impacts us. And then everybody gets the eye-opening thing. Wow, we didn't think of that. We didn't think of that. And this is really, it's a functional exercise, and you get a lot out of it. You get a lot out of it. I know, Ryan, did you guys participate in the BJC one at all, or no? They just had one this year. What was the one, the stars one they just did? The one that you went over for? You guys did.
That really wasn't an exercise.
Yeah. I think the two that we've done so far, we've got stuff out of it. There's, no matter how big or small the hospital is, you were out at, how many patients did we have?
We had less than 30, I think, and I don't even know if we had anybody in the ED at the time. But just the difference between the two organizations that I've had a chance to watch do this, completely different process. Both ended up great, but the way that, a smaller hospital is able to look and grab their assets and really get moving a whole lot faster than a larger facility that's got a whole lot more moving parts. But larger facility, more relationships developed, smaller facility, less of a reach. It's very, very enlightening.
Yeah. So we really like, again, the goal of that exercise is to do 20% of the licensed beds within our coalition. For us, that's around 405. Okay? That's what we're targeting again. Last year when we did it, we were right at close to 300. This year, not so much. Maybe 105. I don't know, if that. So we're not. We had to put in some handicaps in there. We said Belleville, Memorial Hospital Belleville, Memorial Hospital East were off limits. They were also evacuated. So we kind of threw some handcuffs in there. But the more people get an opportunity to participate, I think the better off it is. When last year we had a good group of folks, we've identified the double billeting of beds, the double billeting of ambulances and stuff like that, and people can realize, and it helps even some of the EMS agents. They're like, oh no, yeah, we promise you guys the same ambulance. We can't do that. So we really need folks to participate, and I want to do it August, September, late August, early September of this. So don't be scared to take part in it. It's low threat. It's not. We had donuts and stuff over there. We weren't rolling on the floor, were we, Gary?
No, I think that's what when I first asked the administration if we could do it. The recommendation is, are we going to be really judged, and it's really going to be intense? It was easy. It was easy going. Phil just kind of let us do our thing. It wasn't intense. Like I said, I'd do it again. I don't feel like we were being judged or anything like that. I just felt like we were learning, and that's what it's all about.
When I saw who was the ED manager? I can't remember the ED manager's name.
Tracy?
Yeah. When couldn't get in contact with which hospital was it?
can't remember. I know what you're talking
I
about.
don't know if it was Anderson or whatnot, but couldn't get in contact. I'm going to say Anderson. I may be lying. But couldn't get in it's on that recording, so you'll hear. Couldn't get in contact. And me and Lee are looking at each other, and in between us is a Starcom radio. And we go, what are your options? She was like, I can't get him on the phone. Can't get him on the phone. Can't get him on the phone. And then she's like, but can I use the radio? Yeah, you can use it. So she used it, and to my surprise and my delight and pleasure, on a day when it wasn't a radio check or anything, she said, oh, and then she asked, she says, is it me first, then them? And then she figured it out. She said, Anderson, this is St. Anthony's, over, or whatever she said, and somebody picked up immediately. So look, that was a win-win-win, and that's in the after-action report, which is almost done. That's in the after-action report as a success. So. But she used it. But she was like, I was out of my element. I didn't even think about this, because sometimes when you go in a control center or command center and you're not right by the stuff that's around you, you kind of forget that you have other tools. And if anything, if that one thing was to take away from that entire exercise, I would take it. It was great. Yes, Sam.
I'm available to be an evaluator for August or September.
I love it. We need it. Yep. We need people to participate. We need a hospital.
We'll participate.
Didn't you participate already once?
We did a year ago. We didn't do it this earlier this year because we had a conflict with Joint Commission.
Oh yeah, time is there. So yeah, I mean, and good thing is you can just say, we'll do another group of folks. So you don't even have to do same. You don't have to bring same folks in.
Just, Monroe County's available to help you, yes.
Outstanding. Sign up on this link. Click it, sign up on it. It'll take you about 20 seconds. First receiver suit log. So a lot of you guys probably had a piece of paper go around looking something like this one here. All this is as we continue to add and broaden our decon course, our first receiver decon course, vitals is always a big thing. Now, I'll tell you right now, there is not a law for first receivers to do pre-entry vital signs. There isn't. That doesn't exist for first receivers as it does for some of our first responder folks that are going in full SCBA into hazardous atmosphere, blah, 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 blah. They have NFPA guidance that will tell them this is what you must do, right? You don't have that. We do recommend that you do it. We do get some folks in there, hypertension, they work a long shift, a few things, and they want to be medically evaluated. But this is good for personnel management, so you're not overtaxing your folks. There's some people that are really gung-ho, they get in that suit, put the mask on, IQ drops about 10, 15 points, but their spirit they're like, I can do it, let's go, until, bam. This is just going to give you some guidance on what their work rate is and what the temperature is in the area that you're working. You could be working outside in the tent at your location. I know Georgia's trying to buy a tent and a whole bunch of stuff. Aren't you trying to buy a tent?
Pretty good.
Oh, you bought that one, okay. You and Sam, spending. What that temperature is and how long the day should be work resting. So you see 20, 40, 10, 50, all those type of things. This is just a tool for you guys to implement and help your teams out, okay? If you want, we got to go over it more specific in the actual class. When's the last class we did? Where was that at?
It was down at Gateway.
This
last month.
Yeah. Did we use this one during that time?
No, we did not.
We did not, because we didn't have, I don't know if we had it. Yeah, we just hadn't read it. So this is ready to go. You can download a copy of it or what have you. But please use it. Vericore Medical Triage. As the RHCC, and to build out Memorial's ability to accept a whole bunch of patients in a rush, we purchased this Vericore Triage system, okay? Red, yellow, green, even black. It's soup to nuts. It's supposed to take care of 100 patients. That's how they kind of got it built out. It's all modular. It does a whole bunch of things. We're going to be requesting they come in and do some training. So either I'm going to pay for it, but if we get other folks to do it, and I'm thinking we can build this around an exercise, okay, drill, he'll come in and do the training for free if you get some other folks just to come up. Whether it's a dog and pony show or we turn it into a tabletop / functional exercise, because it'll probably be a functional exercise for us at Belleville when we do it, or drill, however we're going to chalk it up as. But we're going to take it out, put it all up, put it together, do all those type of things, but they want to show it off to the world. Say, hey, look what we got. I will say that folks on the Star side, when they talked about, when Lee was talking about the trailers, et cetera, they're interested in what they have to offer. It was kind of expensive, but you could build it out yourself if you really wanted to. You kind of build it out yourself if you had the right tools and stuff. But we're looking to do a dog and pony show / exercise in the very near future. So I'm going to send out a request. If you want to attend it, we'll put it on the events calendar. So sign up there because we're going to exercise with it. But we'd like them to come out for free to do that instead of having to pay for it. So if you just want to come see, please come out. All right, we're nearing the end of things, and what we're going to do is we're going to go over and do a real dog and pony show with D4H here in a second, which is a common operating picture that we procured 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago. How long has it been since we've been there?
This is January.
Okay. That we've been using. We've been using kind of on the low for both the hospital and for the region. I'm going to let Lee kind of go over what the capabilities are of that. But I want to, before we do that, I want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of talk about what you have going on or open the floor up before we do that, because I want to hold that for the last thing. Are there any things that you guys, tip of your tongue, into your mind, whatever, that coalition-wise that we need to discuss, things upcoming that you have going on that you want folks across the region to know that you're doing? We will have the, so in looking at upcoming events, we got training going on tomorrow, day after tomorrow. We're what, 43 out of 50 for that?
Yeah.
Right now for the alternate care site and shelter management course. So I hope we're going to see folks there, which is going to be great. Medical management CBRN events, where are we at on that? 30 something?
No, for that one we have to have 30, and right now we're sitting at, I think, 17.
So think about this. Medical management CBRN events, we're going to have a full-scale ChemPAC exercise in the spring. Some folks may want to be in attendance for that, so they have some semblance of what to do when I have a nerve agent exposed patient.
It also does correlate to the CCTA that STARS is doing that we're all going to be drafted into next year. John nodding his head with a big smile. Yes.
So that's a good course. I expect everybody to try to get some folks in there. Get Sam and the guy.
That's going to be held at our new annex room, and I talked to the contact at TEEPS last week, and then I sent this information on to Lee, but their drop dead date is, I believe, June 22nd. So if we don't have that 30 by June 22nd, which I know is almost a month, but they need that time to coordinate instructors, the equipment and stuff. So June 22nd, I believe, is our drop dead date. So we don't need that by then.
And they are sticklers. They are looking for a reason to not come here. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, and this class, I took this class once already in the past. They bring in fidelity mannequins that actually talk and everything, so that you can see what a patient looks like during exposure to picking. They can throw it out there. And you'll actually have the opportunity for the clinicians to go through the treatment algorithm so that you can actually get hands-on with it. They'll do both a pediatric and an adult. And I mean, the mannequins they bring in are 100 grams up. They fly in a full pallet full of crap. Sam about had a cow when she found out what all they were bringing.
Yeah, I had to talk with our PBC staff to make sure that we had dollies and stuff to get it through the door.
Get it through the door?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
It's a full pallet full of equipment, and it's a phenomenally good class. They also do provide some great take-home reference books that, I carry it in my car. Legitimately, it's in my go bag with the hazmat team now because it's right there. It's everything you want to know.
And they do provide CEUs for EMS.
Oh yeah, and nursing.
First, I'd like to say, Lee, you're the only guy I know who's a bigger nerd than I am.
That's true.
But secondly, I pushed that class specifically out to EMS, and I had some folks come back to me, and I forwarded you an email about getting on the site to register.
They don't have to register on the site. All they have to do is click that link, and it'll say, "Are you attending?" Just tell it yes and fill it in.
Okay.
Before we leave, I'll walk through it with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Easy process for this one.
Yeah.
We want you there. again, you can kind of see the stones kind of lining up. We did our tabletop, Kimpack, Old Georgia, Diet Coke, lime on the rocks. And I owed you some paperwork from that. We're going to have this type of training. We're probably going to have, in the buildup of the full scale, we're going to probably have another drill / or tabletop in the upcoming months to that exercise. So we're trying to put the pieces in place for us to succeed in doing that exercise. And everybody operating off the same sheet of music, okay? So please take advantage of this course. Like I said, it's a big class they bring in, and I will tell you again, it's working with those folks. They are looking for a reason to be like, oh, well, we can't go. Can't go. They want to come, but if you can't guarantee that you're going to have people in the butts in those seats, they're not coming. They don't want to waste their time.
It is applicable for non-clinicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it is. It is. We want those clinicians in there, obviously. We want those. But it's going to be, I think it's a myriad of folks will gain something out of it. You know, a myriad of folks. But
Lee, where are we with that number? 14?
No, right now, I think we're about 14 short, put it that way.
Okay.
So about 15, 16, 17 minutes.
Yeah. I'd have to actually pull it up and see, but yeah, that's where we were at this morning.
Okay.
About the CBRN.
The
Yes,
CBRN
ma'am.
management class is where we're at right now. We have another one that's coming in, again, also I think in July, isn't it? At the end of the month, the medical preparedness and response for bombing incidents. Again, this one is very, very oriented towards the CCTA. For those of us who've been to the planning meetings and done the tabletops, I will tell you that things going boom is a very big component of this exercise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was wrong on that date for the drop dead date. It's
The 20th, I
the
thought.
20th,
Yeah.
so a few days earlier.
What else we got? The Bobby you talked about that one. Coalition Surge Test. Again, sign up. And this one isn't. I saw this one on the calendar, but this one isn't published yet. Are we doing that one?
That one I just got with Gary and got the dates, so I'm waiting for a response back from TEEX, or no, from LSU. So yeah, that one will be coming. The response to domestic biological incidents. That again, it's more focused on, it's focused on the biological side, obviously. But they'll come in and go over PPE, donning, doffing, following all the CDC procedures and all the fun stuff. And it's oriented not just at clinicians, but also at EMS, public health, and anything else that may, non-treatment staff that may have to enter into a contaminated environment.
You can get your EVS folks
Yeah.
involved and stuff like that.
I would actually encourage it, yeah.
Yeah, and and in case somebody weaponizes Greg's favorite disease, rabbit fever.
Oh.
You can be prepared for it. So.
Hey, Bill. There's a couple things that are going to pop up that aren't that are brewing up is the two ambulance strike team leader classes that'll probably happen before the end of the year.
Yeah, that's
But
going to
we're
be.
just waiting for the new grant to come out.
Yeah. So yeah, we will have two. Is it going to be 2 or 3?
There'll be 2.
2 ambulance strike team leader courses.
What we're looking at is doing 1 in Madison County and probably 1.
And let folks know what that really means when you say ambulance strike team leader course. Some folks, I know some folks don't know what strike teams are and what the point of that course really is.
So the point of it is, with FEMA, they're moving to deploying in strike teams, which are 5 ambulances with a supervisor. So it's the supervisor role of those to manage those 5 ambulances when they're deployed. The medical task force is just that. It's 5 of those strike teams. The task force leader, the medical task force leaders managing those five strike teams.
We had good turnout in the last one.
Last 2, actually. Yeah.
The last 2 or 3 that we've had have been full with no seats available.
And a waiting list on the last one.
Yeah, and and the contractor that we're dealing with, the owner actually sits on the board with FEMA as far as writing the task book for that position. So he's a subject matter expert, and he's helping write the task books for that.
So as you can see, we're putting a lot of effort and manpower and dollars into education and trying to push that to the next level for exercises. We talked about it maybe 6 months ago that our goal should be. We've been getting grant dollars for years and years and years. We've got equipment. Now it's time to start putting that equipment and stuff to meeting that where your education and experience kind of meet the equipment and we can execute all together. So we're looking forward for the outgoing years to do more and more training, education, exercise, and filling in gaps where we need the equipment. For example, we're about to purchase a $43,000 Tommy trauma mannequin that does everything. I can drop it out of a window, I can pour water all over, I can do whatever I want to it. Super nice, but it's going to give those people, those first responders and or folks in the ED, the opportunity to deal with the high fidelity mannequin that we can kind of punch in the face if we really wanted to, if they're being belligerent. So we want to be able to execute on those things. All right, again, we don't have any major questions. Let's take a quick 5-minute break. Stretch your legs. Greg, I got you. Stretch your legs. Get something to drink, and then we're going to come back and do D4H. But Greg, what'd you have before we break?
Is Calhoun County Health Department on the line?
Do we have anybody from Calhoun County on the line? That sounds like okay. All right. So take 5 minutes, come on back, and then we're going to kind of go over Dog and Pony Show. I would recommend that you scoot up so you can see the screen very well.
To find out who is on the line.
Yes, we do.
So
So folks that are on the line,
I have one.
here, if you could let us know who's on the line so we can get you on the roll call.
This is
Kelly
Scott.
from Jerseyville.
Was that from Jerseyville? Sorry. Was that
Kelly.
Oh, okay. The bird song. Okay.
Dan from Sparta.
What is the date in July?
Hey. Excuse me. Gotcha, Dan.
Yeah.
Who else do we have online?
Terry Everett,
Bond County.
Terry, gotcha. Bond County Department.
Curtis Williams, Amateur Radio.
Hey, Curtis. Glad to hear you online.
Phil, this is Dan from Sparta. I didn't hear you if you caught me a while ago.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dan.
Kanitha Johnson, Illinois Health and Hospital Association.
That'll work.
Thank you.
You should be able to get there. Okay, I'll let her know. All right, thanks, Doug.
Anyone else online?
Phil, this is Scott from Memorial.
Hey, Scott. Gloucester.
There's 3 different exercises.
Are there any others on the phone line?
Hey Heidi, do you have or Megan's contact information? IDPH to get Greg.
All right, we're going to switch over and start sharing my screen for those who are online.
March instead of in April. Yours, I sent in March. She said, I'll look at it and get back with you. I'm still looking.
I know. We're going to go ahead and put this on mute till we get started back up so you don't have to hear a lot of feedback and talking. So for the folks that hopefully you're able to view. We're about to go ahead and get started. But we're going to be talking common operating picture and D4H. And if you guys remember, D4H is the solution that we kind of use to track all the equipment that's in the region right now. And soon this will kind of tie to both of those. But he's going to kind of go through, give you a dog and pony show on what we're using it for, and I'll talk about how we're going to try to grow this. Keep in mind, we have plenty of computerized, cloud-based programs that are out there now. What do we have? We got EM Resource, right, that we use. We have EM Track that we have not used, but is there. And we got some of our good folks, that John Takeoff and MedStar, that use EM Track when they can. And then we have WebEOC that's out there from the state. How many of you guys are familiar with WebEOC?
How many of you have access to it?
So our health department folks have access to it. So the hospitals do not have access to it. They are planning to give hospitals access to it, just not yet. But they are planning on it. But IDPH has WebEOC, which is a common operating picture that does a lot of things. We don't have the lot of things version of WebEOC, okay? We have like so here's the list. For those of you who can't see online what I'm doing, here's the list of things that WebEOC can do. I'm holding about a meter's length between my hands. We have about this much of what WebEOC can do. That's what the state's paying for the entire state. It's expensive, okay? Just to get that across the entire state. So IDPH has their version. IEMA has their version, which is a little more souped up than we have. IEMA and IDPH version don't talk directly between each other. Does not exist. Then we have our partners across the river in the STARS region, St. Louis Metropolitan, Metro East area, whatever you want to call it, and then their coalition. And over there, they use VOG. We're never going to be all on the same page. Okay? I will tell you, I have extensive use with every single platform that is out there over the past 20 years. I've used it. You name it, I've used it, except for one, which is Knowledge Center, which is kind of catered a little more towards medical. I've just only seen it in action. But of those, all the systems that I have discussed with you and just quickly named, I will tell you that this is the lightest, leanest, and more to the point version of all of those that I've seen. And this is the reason why we went with it. Okay.
It's also more cost effective.
Yeah, it has that's what I was going to say. It's cloud based, and its price model. It's a subscription. But it is a blanket subscription. It is basically here's the system. You have unlimited users. Okay, so we're going to build it out the way we do it. Whereas other places, it's per user licenses. This isn't done that way. Okay, so we have a lot of flexibility in that regard. Okay, but again, my point is that this is kind of the lightest, leanest, easiest learning curve out of all of those. Yeah. If every one of those things I've named to you, if you've used it, I'm sure you've grit your teeth at least once or twice in saying, where's this information? Where's that information? Oh, I want to build a form or I want to do this, and you can't get it done right. I don't care which one you're in. This one, I can get 85 to 90% of the things that I want done in my head. I say, this is what I want to be able to do. I'm able to do here. Which I'm telling you is a good thing.
Without a call to tech support, I might add.
Exactly. Your biggest tech support is probably going to be me and Lee. Okay. So this is a small company, and they're just trying to grow, but it's what we're using right now. So I'll just kind of give them before you go into what you're doing. Let me just scroll up just a little bit. What you're going to see as you kind of go in is that you're going to see all of these what they're called as channels. Okay. These are all channels. So as you'll notice, at our hospital during the winter storm, 2019-302, we had an event going on, and we were preparing for that winter storm. Okay, this has been going on for 95 days. I could have closed it out. We're just using it to test out doing things. Okay, we did a demo with some severe weather incidents. We're going to be starting to use this. As a matter of fact, next week we have a meeting with our folks administration. We're going to try to push this as a day-to-day operations common operating picture. But we want to talk about today the regional flooding. So I can put up to 12 or 15 channels in here. And one of those channels right now, we're tracking regional flooding. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Lee kind of talk you through what it does and how it does it.
So I also want to point out, while he named off all of those other services, this is actually one that is in use right now by multiple FEMA teams that are deploying out for real-world large-scale incidents. They've opted to go with this tool over some of the others because of the fact they can train someone to use it in a day. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and launch the channel for the regional flood. I started this last week simply just so I had a way to keep track of things, because I have access to the IDPH WebEOC, but there's not a whole lot of actual useful intelligence on it from my perspective. So I went and gathered things from other locations. The first thing you'll see when you load into this is the overall dashboard. We can actually assign out tasks. We actually can have the system assign out tasks based on the nature of the channel that we're activating. The channels are predefined, so we can either load a blank one and build it as we go, or we can have them preset so that if it's a severe weather incident, we know that inside a severe weather response, there are certain skills or tasks that are going to have to be accomplished every time. We can have those pre-done and assigned to positions, to roles. So the incident commander, planning ops, all of your normal ICS folks would already know when they are assigned and log in, here's the first things I have to do. Gives them kind of a checklist. And you would see those tasks here. Or actually, my tasks, I should say, the things that are assigned to my user login would be down here.
He's logged in as me right now.
Yeah, the overall tasks, what exists across the board, display in a separate status board. Same thing for resource requests. If we have entities that are asking for things, we can actually put that in here and track whether it's been fulfilled, whether it's been canceled, like the vaccine was canceled because they sourced it themselves. MedStar needed some 800 radios for the areas they have low coverage. We were able to supply those. You know, we can go through and track all of that. We can do it in a way so that we don't have duplication of effort. We all know what's going on. The mapping system, we can actually track what's going on and pin it to the board. When we go to our situation, this basically gives us our 201. This will show us, you know, the event, the date, time, what the status is as far as our activation levels. We can input as much information. It's a free-form field, so I can put in as much information as I want regarding, you know, whatever the situation synopsis or safety brief is. Phil built out a very detailed, you know, structure for the actual incident command for the breakdown on who reports to what facilities as resource hospitals and all of that kind of fun stuff. We can upload images that were, you know, from the scene or incident. And the nice thing is I can modify this form and make it exactly what we need it to be for that incident. As I alluded to, we can specify roles. So when folks are added into the profile, we can say this is where you're going to be. So we have some folks from health departments in here now. We've got some folks, I think we have one or two from local public as well as state. And then our hospital that's been using this to try to get everything drilled down. But when they log in, they'll see whatever's assigned to them. Phil talked about the ability to make a form. We only have a couple of forms actually on this particular incident right now, but we can go in and build out a HICS. This gives us the full, or not HICS, but the ICS 201, so your full incident briefing form. And we can customize these in the system. It's really uber simple to do it. It's actually easier to build it here and print it out to paper than it is to create it in like Acrobat or Word or something and print it. Like I said about the map, so this is for the folks down in Randolph County, there's 9 Mile Creek. It's blocked off showing the area that's affected and flooded. You know, I can click on it and get the actual coordinates. If you notice, the locations are all in National Grid because that's what FEMA says is the new national standard for all disaster response work. So we've got, you know, the areas that I've been made aware of have been added. So all of the pink that you see, or purple, that's all the levee. And it's all of the levee, drawn directly from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This is what they say is out there. You know, they closed the floodgates down the road from where I live in East Alton. You know, it affects traffic in and out of East Alton and Wood River. That's on here. There's the request and in real time on the fly. The part that we use the most is the updates field. So when you go into WebEOC, for those that have been in there, this is kind of like what the WebEOC is. This is where we're just posting messages. And you'll notice as you go through it, I've taken things from like the IDOT bridge closures directly from their site. When they posted information on the WebEOC, I've grabbed it. I'll mark where I got it from, kind of what it is, and if there's an attachment, I attach it. If not, I'll actually put the verbiage in to explain, what I grabbed. And the reason I did this is because, again, not all of our hospitals have access to the WebEOC. So if I'm stealing stuff from WebEOC and posting it here, y'all are able to see it. It's there for you. The other thing is, at the end of this incident, when we close this channel, I can have it print all of the documentation out into an IAP that is, complete, a full, FEMA compatible, compliant IAP. We update this, as often as possible, as often as we see something happen. Now, I don't honestly sit and stare at WebEOC because I don't get notices when they post something, so I have to log in and look at it. With this, I can actually set it up so that you will get an email to tell you something's been posted. You'll know something important happened. And you'll be able to see kind of who put it in here and what their roles are. Like this is weather information drawn directly from the system. This has its own weather tie, so we can see what was happening when I posted it. We talked about with taskings, we can ensure that tasks are assigned, who they're assigned to. This was from yesterday when we needed to send out radios to John Nowak for the EMS side. This was assigned to Gilbert. Mike filled it out, processed it, completed it. Now we see that it was done. And that was generated via the resource request. So we submitted it, it was done. Phil told me, hey, make sure Michelle and Tiffany have access and that it works. I did it, it's fulfilled, completed. Status reports. So the way this concept works, I can come in here and say what it was, whether we use this in the hospital especially. If there's an incident, each of our floors, units, departments can go in and update their own stuff and say, whatever it is. In this case, it could be health department saying, yeah, we have an urgent need. If they say they have an urgent need, it automatically goes red, prioritizes it for us. We know if it's red, we got to look at it. What's their operational status? We've got minor issues and major issues. Do they have injuries? Yes or no? Fatalities? Are their communications impacted? Utility impacts? And then they can go in this free-form field, they can put in whatever notes we need to know. Again, this is right now set for our hospital, but we can easily add to this to each channel that'll be specific. So if it's a regional channel, it'll have everything regional.
Because we have a regional stat rep. If you guys remember, in the EOP,
Correct.
we have a regional stat rep, and we can duplicate this. And if you go ahead and double click on that line, Lee, you'll see what's behind that.
So it builds the form.
So the form is actually behind there. And if that was all filled out, just go back up to the top and hit the print button.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's gonna come.
There it goes.
And it would print it to a form that you could have. It's pretty easy. I mean, it looks clean. It doesn't look. Trying to look at how to get out.
Yeah.
There you go. Other tab. There you go. So I had a full screen.
So that's how the status reports work. And again, these can all be easily customized. From a personnel perspective, this shows us who all has been assigned to this channel. They've been either assigned or invited. Yeah, when we add you, you'll get an email that'll say, hey, click here. And Michelle can tell you what that was like. She did it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm still having some issues though. I was finally able to get into the incident, but the forms and the log and the update, nothing's popping up. It still says no events.
And you're on Chrome, right?
Yep. And I logged in this morning and it
Okay, we'll take a look because Tiffany had a problem initially, and then when she refreshed, it worked.
Are you on the most updated version of Chrome?
Yep.
Okay.
But so this allows you to see who's in it, what their role is. The weather, they have a pretty decent tool for the forecast, and it's been surprisingly scarily accurate. Actually, it's been more accurate than what we've been getting off of the news channels. Not a huge challenge, I'm sure, but still. They also we're looking at implementing for the region a system called DTN, WeatherNet, that we have real-time meteorology access where we can talk to a meteorologist and get updates. And they're talking about looking at, I should say, the potential to integrate that into here. So we'll get our real-time radar and real-time data. For folks that are in the system, we can actually set up notifications and send a notice out. So we can put, who we want it to go to.
Which is the Everbridge portion.
Yeah, so using the Everbridge tool. So again, this allows us so that we can send it out to whoever we need to. Again, right now it's set for our facility because that's where we've been using it.
But we could put the...
But if I needed to send it out to all the EMS folks, I can send it out to all EMS directly from here. I can put a message. I can say if I want it to go email or text, and bing, bang, boom, it's out the door.
Yeah. You don't have to go back out to Everbridge.
The library functionality allows, so if we've got forms or documents that we've collected from various sources that are not in the updates, we just want to add them in here as a repository. I can add them in here. They're stored. And I mean, we've got gigs of space per channel to store it in. We'll never use it. It's like your Gmail account. You'll never find the bottom. You can also, when we do map data, they have a map annotation, and this will show like all the areas that I've added to the map. Right now, this isn't really overly useful for us, but for the GIS geeks who really like maps, this gives you some tinker toys to play with. But I added all these the levees and everything myself. I did all this yesterday. So we'll go and just real quick show you some of the admin side. So when we go, and not everyone will have access to the admin, mainly because it's global. But when we go into admin, we have what they call collections.
You know what? Go back. Go to the homes. Go to the first. Before you go right there, go to the home screen. So hit on.
Oh, you mean? Okay.
Yeah. Go there, and show them when you do start a new.
Okay.
So you can show them from that.
Well, actually, let me close out. So we talked about shutting a channel down. So when we go to shutdown, it'll pop up and it'll say, what do you want to do with it? You want to create a new activity report, generate a downloadable archive, delete it, don't save anything, or I want to decide later. Well, I'm going to say I want to keep an archive, which I would encourage everyone to do. It's always nice to have all your stuff in case you need to reference it for an inspection or a survey or just because. So you'll see the little power sign is flashing because it's doing its compress and compile and all that.
It's down there now.
It didn't close though.
Yep, it did. Right there. You did Winter Storm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it did the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now it's doing it.
So yeah, it's still thinking, the little hourglass. Once it's done, then we can go in there and we can click on download the archive. And inside of it, we have audit logs, notepads. This was something we did just as more of a toy to play with. Now your org chart, all that data exports out. And it's all there again for perpetuity. You can save it wherever.
Yeah.
To start a channel, we simply click on what it is, and these are what we've kind of started pre-building. So we can go in and specify what they are. A lot of this is oriented more towards the